and justice for all.
Mr. Needles, can you take roll call for the record, please?
Sure thing. Commissioner Baca?
Here.
Commissioner Godioso?
Here.
Commissioner Rakowski?
Here.
Commissioner Neary?
Here.
Commissioner Whitaker is present. I believe she's having some technical difficulties, so she should be up soon. Michael Pierce?
Here.
Lisa Catania? And myself, George Needles, present.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's commissioner meeting dated March 11th, 2021. At this time, we will take citizen comments. Any individuals may call during this time by dialing 571-748-4021. Again, the dial number is 571-748-4021. The code to enter is 972-430-790#. Again, the code is 972-430-790#. To unmute your phone, please dial *6. After unmuting your phone, state your name, your address, then begin your comment. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak, and then come back on mute after your comment. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting who will be calling in or watching us via YouTube or on Facebook. So at this moment, I will start taking citizens' comments.
Mr. Gaudioso?
Yes, how are you tonight?
Good. My name is David Bartholf, 624 Holiday Inn Road. I'd like to be heard.
Yes.
So, my name is David Bartholf. I'm the chairman of the Republican Committee of Upper Chichester. I've prepared a brief statement I'd like to share with the board. I'm here tonight to ask for some of the commissioners to reconsider their stance and give us a unanimous approval on our Hometown Heroes flag service project. Just to reiterate what Commissioner Biacco said last meeting, this is not a fundraiser for the Republican Party, nor will our names be on the banner. This is merely an attempt by our group to honor our veterans. I was dismayed listening to the meeting last week as some of the commissioners wanted to put conditions on our service project. Everybody in the community is able to participate. They simply have to buy a flag. A condition was put out there that we must include the Chichester Democrat Party in our plans. The Chichester Democrat Party was allowed to host a toy drive at the township property at the community center last November, December. I never received a call to participate, nor would I expect to. I applaud anybody in our community that's working to do betterment for our community. I didn't make the toy drive a political issue, nor do I expect honoring our veterans in our town to become one. The Rotary Club does a flag project in our town on Chichester Avenue, another great project, no interference from the township. When the Upper Chi Republican Party did Operation No Cold Kids in My Town, we gave 300 new jackets to the school district for distribution to our entire community. The school did not mention anything about the jackets being donated by the Republican Party because giving cold kids jackets is not a political issue. My request is a simple one. Put politics aside and let us honor our veterans. I would like a unanimous vote from the commissioners on this issue of honoring our veterans, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bartolf. So duly noted. We'll take another minute or two to see if anybody else would like to call in to make comments. I will give it another minute, and if we don't receive any more phone calls within that time period, we'll move on to our regular meeting. Another 30 seconds. All right, another minute has passed by. Just like the record show that we had one citizen call in tonight at our commissioners meeting. So with that said, I'd like to move on to our regular meeting. Can I have the approval of the minutes from the February 4th, 2021 Board of Commissioners Caucus meeting and the February 11th, 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting?
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it and motion is carried. Item number 6 on our agenda tonight will be presented by Commissioner Joe Neary.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. The township has made a practice recently, one that had fallen to the wayside a few years ago, but we're back on track here. And we like to honor our employees for long service. So I'm going to read the names of the people that are being honored this evening and their length of service. So at 25 years, we have two, Kevin Mitchell, who works in the police department and works in trash and sanitation. Years are Gary Beam, Jason Mark, and David DeSands. Serving 15 years was Kevlin Boyle. At 10 years, we have Michael Molyneux, Deb Brooks, Ron Bowden, and Matt Dugan. And at 5 years, we have Christopher Gaspari, Joseph Augustine, Daniel Clapp, and Nicholas Jordan. We've sent a letter to each of these people congratulating them on their achievement, and we appreciate the service and the work that they do for us. And I'd like to move that we don't need a motion for that, but that's just an announcement of the awards.
Thank you, Commissioner Neary. And I'd like to just echo the same sentiments. I'd like to thank our employees for their years of service and hard dedication. And we look forward to many years to come with working with you. With that said, we'll move on to item number 7 on our agenda. Have a member of the board consider a motion acknowledging the extension granted by Larry Jackson, granting the township additional time to act on his reverse subdivision plan application.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Are there any comments?
Questions? Why?
What-
Who requested this extension again?
So I spoke with, this is George Niels, I spoke with Dave Damon about this project and asked him where he was at with his applicant as far as, the plan. And my understanding from Dave and I also had a conversation with Commissioner Whitaker in reference to the project, but my understanding from Dave is that what we can expect is a little bit more drawn out of a plan to come in, including possibly the plot plan as well as the grading plan. So what you'll be able to see at that point is where the driveway would need to be located, the house would need to be located to be built, as opposed to what is now a reverse subdivision plan with a theoretical driveway being proposed.
How
Can I
many
ask you a question?
Sure.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Thank you. So, George, when we spoke, we talked about a plot plan. We talked about possibly getting a grading plan and having him do those things, right? So the application is for a reverse subdivision. So there's currently 2 lots, and he wants to put them together, right?
Yep.
Okay. So in cases like that, do we typically ask for all these things to be done ahead of time when it's just a plot of land, they're putting it together? the plans and things of that nature come next?
Yeah, I mean, so that would be the continuation of it. I think the issue that comes at hand here is that in the reverse subdivision, you would be, the ordinance calls for the public improvements to be put on the plan and to be either completed or held in escrow for during the project. And the request was to, I mean, we had a waiver request that came into the board asking for a waiver of all those public improvements.
I understand, but if they're just doing the land part of it now, what, do they need the plot plan yet? I understand
Right.
what I see what they're getting at.
Yeah, I mean,
Right, so then why couldn't we have said to the applicant or the applicant's engineer, this is a reverse subdivision, this is not the appropriate time to ask for waivers. Just do one thing at a time. Right?
Right.
It was like we're making him have all this stuff done before we take the first step.
no, he would be, so the township ordinance requires him to have this done because it's a single lot development,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't go through the land development process for the building. So your ordinance at that point calls for these improvements to be done through the subdivision process.
What if he doesn't build? I mean, what if somebody's
Yeah.
just buying the land to make it bigger?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just being devil's advocate. I mean,
So if there was already a lot there, if there was already a home there and they were buying the lot next door, then the ordinance would still, and there was a reverse subdivision and there was no public improvements, then the ordinance would still call for the extension of the roadway, stormwater system, curbing, sidewalk, all that.
Not if there's a house there already with a driveway. He's just making the yard bigger. It's a reverse subdivision in one lot. If there's a house there already, and the person wants a lot next door to him that's empty, he comes to us for a reverse subdivision to add that lot to his lot. It's still the same folio number. What improvements does he need? Because he's not putting nothing on that property.
Well, if it abuts an unimproved road, then your ordinance calls for those improvements to be made.
It don't make sense. But I want to explain a couple of things, especially if there's people listening. This gentleman came to us because there's a repository list. The repository list is where properties in Upper Chichester throughout the whole county do not get sold in sales. The township has the right to purchase these through the county for $1. This gentleman came to us, saw these lots on that list. As far as I could go back, they'd probably been on that list probably 10, 15 years. He's seeing 2 lots. What I'm asking is, why are we putting this guy through another extension for a reverse subdivision for 2 lots? And I know why, because the gentleman agreed that he would do the improvements and all this stuff to the street and all that. But in a reverse subdivision, that's all he's asking for. Now, the only thing I could see for us to really pinpoint is some kind of promissory note saying you will build on there, because he had to come to the township to be able to say, hey, I'm interested in this land, and if there was no use for us to have it, which has been vacant for a good 10, 15 years, it was a little bit of deja vu for me because I visited this site and I actually fought a fire right across the street on the same house. So I see exactly where this property is. I just don't understand why we have to keep doing this. As long as, if he shows how can he show a plot when he doesn't even have the land? Right now it shows 8 feet for the side and a driveway coming off the street. Now, our planning commission and the Delaware County Planning Commission recommended waiver to be granted, waiver the cul-de-sac. We're asking him to put a road 178 feet to go to nowhere. There's a manhole in the back that would have to be moved. And his house would probably only be, the bump out that's over there now is 36 feet. So I think we're premature when asking for all this thing. I think we're holding him hostage because he agreed to be able to get this lot to build a home over there because he's from that area. He wants to build a home there. We have 2 empty lots that will be developed. Granted, that bump out would be needed to be extended because what he showed us on the plan was coming off the street. But I don't feel that we need to have him go 178 feet for a street that goes to a run for the stormwater that is probably clogged as could be on the other side on Broadway, for him to be able to put a house on to get a driveway in front of his house. Our bump out that we as a township probably put in many moons ago is 36 feet long. That's it. Well, let me tell you, when I drove down there the other day, I just about fit my truck because of people that park on that street. So making him put a cul-de-sac for the trash truck to turn around, the fire, I could guarantee you we didn't back up for the house fire. We backed out. So our trash trucks back out of those streets. They don't go up and back down to collect the trash. They pull in and they back out. The residents even say that. So I just feel that the other comment that both the planning board of ours and the Delaware County says, put the conditions that the 2 engineers work out the frontage extension being negotiated and made conditions of the Board of Commissioners. Well, I feel we're dragging it on again. I agree with Mr. Biacco. Why do we need all these plans prior to a subdivision? As long as we get a promissory note that he will build, because that's the only way he could get these lots off that list, the repository list, from our permission. Then he sits down and say, hey, our bump out's 36 feet. I'm looking at the map we got. 36 feet gives him enough room to move his house into the middle and have a bigger than an 8-foot side yard and not have to go 178 feet. What I feel is, and this is my opinion, the cost he saw to extend that street to go nowhere is phenomenal, and he wouldn't be able to build. So I think we've been dragging Mr. Jackson on just to reverse subdivision. He has to come back to us. I'm glad I'm finally hearing somebody said he doesn't have to go through land development, because it's only one house. It's a building permit. And I think we're capable enough on the Planning Commission's review and the Delaware County Planning Review to be able to negotiate the frontage for him so he's not broke before he built a house, to get a driveway to come to that piece in the middle of the property, which wouldn't go 178 feet.
I think if he came to us saying that he just wanted a reverse subdivision, just saying that's all that he wanted, but I believe, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, is he showed a plot plan of a house which didn't fit the criteria.
Okay, so
the issue at hand is that because he doesn't come back for land development, there is no other action of the Board of Commissioners for these public improvements. So you have to flush out the public improvements on the subdivision land development. So the ordinance calls for the road to be put all the way down one side of the property. I think everybody agrees that that doesn't make sense. There's a creek back there. You're not going to be able to improve that portion of the road. You're not going to be able to put storm drains where that creek is. There's a lot of things going on. He's also not going to be able to locate his house in a large portion of this property as well. So there is the subdivision process is your time to make sure that this all gets flushed out. You had a request in front of you last month for discussion for waivers. It was waivers from building it. The plan that was presented as to what the solution would be was a driveway that was in the township right away. So I don't know how you give him access to put in a driveway in the township right away. I think you're correct. What needs to be done is there needs to be some type of negotiation with him as to what is the solution to go there. But my understanding from Mr. Damon was that, and just in general, in conversations with Lisa, Mr. Damon, and in general from doing this job, is that you're not going to know where that driveway is going to come out until he determines where he's going to put his house on this. Is he going to have any accessory structures? How does he want to access the site? How does he not want to access the site? So if the board went ahead and approved to give him all waivers and then somehow was able to give him a driveway in the right of way, I don't know where you go from there. On the
Well-
flip side
well-
of that, you also have an owner on the adjacent side, where the first property directly across is a vacant lot that's owned by an individual. So if they were to then build, you know, I couldn't conceptually see how you would have two driveways there working into this property, because then you're also landlocking at the parcel on the back left, which is then owned by the township. So there's just, I'm correct, needs to be a solution, because it absolutely does not make sense to make an individual put this long road down this property to nowhere where it doesn't make sense. But the option that was presented by the engineer was a driveway in the township right away on a theoretical plan that's where the driveway would end up going. So I just don't know how you would do it without having that negotiation with him to determine exactly where it's going to be, have that shown on a plan, and then have that come in front of the board of, this is what I'd like to do. Would you guys grant me the waivers to allow me to do this, not put the road all the way in? But you can't do that unless the applicant presents something, and there hasn't been anything presented to that.
How long has this been going on?
Mr. Jackson approached us a couple years ago to get the ability to purchase the properties off the repository. I think you guys acted on that in like 17.
And it looks like here dated October 13, 2020. So that's October, and this is already March. But I beg the difference. If we were to, you're admitting already that the road goes to nowhere at 178 feet. And you're admitting that the other property across the street is 50 feet that goes to the other property owner. So all this time, we haven't negotiated the same bump out that the township put in at the end already at 36 feet long. When we knew from day one, nobody really liked it. You can show where the house is after you find out where the bump out is. It took us 8 months to figure out, why don't we just do a bump out like we did here? That doesn't landlock the person across the street, because they could still put a driveway onto that extra 36 feet because it's 50 feet lot on the other side. What are we, and if I'm sitting here anyway, for the next 2.5 years, 3 years, that's just open space. I don't even know if it's ours. Is that on the repository list on the other side?
No, it's
Or is
owned
it
by
just ours? I mean,
It's owned by, but you don't have a request. The only request that you had from the applicant was for a waiver to be able to put that in. So like their engineer.
so it took 8 months for us to figure out, just get the bump out 36 feet and,
No,
and
there is
keep
no
extending and extending and extending.
There is no figured out. They haven't come back with a solution.
We couldn't come up with a solution with the engineer
not-
to engineer?
Ed, it's not our job to come up with a solution. It's the developer's job to come up with a solution.
The reality is, Commissioner, that I called Dave Damon to find out where we stood, so we weren't in this position tonight or last week. David said that he had no answer from his applicant, from his client. He was going to go back to Mr. Jackson, and he was going to try to determine where Larry wanted to go with the project. So
Well,
communication is not here with the township not doing what is necessary. The township does not tell an applicant that this is how you're going to build. The applicant gives us a plan, and from there, we determine whether or not it complies with the ordinance. One thing that David and I talked about, is the fact that there is a creek and there is a riparian buffer. And we would not require that they would go down as far as the riparian buffer, because it didn't make any sense. The other issue that's here is the fact that we do have vehicles that will end up at the end of that street. So what we asked to do is to put some sort of a turnaround, so they are not using Mr. Jackson's driveway as a turnaround. And then beyond that, when snow is plowed, the snow would have to be plowed beyond his driveway. So at this point, we don't know where that driveway is. And nothing has been presented by the applicant to the township.
I just totally disagree, because the review from our planning board and the review from the Delaware County, you should be moving on with this reverse subdivision with a promissory note from Mr. Jackson saying, yes, I am going to build. If I don't get the waiver or conditions, I will not build, and I will not. Worst scenario It gets reverse subdivided into one lot. Somebody else comes and got more money to be able to build something. Or it stays empty. It's been empty for 15 years. Nobody, the county owns it right now.
So,
Can we pass?
The planning board, I was at the meeting, and all these same questions were asked, and they did not have an answer.
They have an answer. It's right
They
here.
did not have an answer.
The answer that I'm getting from it says the two engineers will work out the frontage made as a condition for the board of.
That is correct, that the two engineers will work out the frontage. We have been attempting to get that worked out, and they have not responded. The only response they gave was, we would like an extension to try and work this out. That's what's before you right now.
And the other question then why didn't the township put a cul-de-sac at the end of Bellevue Terrace when they did a bump out that just goes square?
I can tell you,
So let's-
Commissioner, prior to you being on this board, we actually tried to get turnarounds put on the ends of many of these streets through a community development block grant, but we did not get that grant. So the township has made efforts in the past to relieve some of these issues of the trucks and emergency vehicles, in particular the trash trucks, having to back out of the street. That's been an issue for at least 15 years.
so I'd like to say something, Mike, before you close out. I want to say something.
Commissioner Whitaker, I know
So-
this is your board. I would recommend following what we had talked about last week.
Absolutely, right. We're on the same, I spoke with, I think some of the frustration here is not being clear because I had a different thought in my mind, but now that I know he doesn't have to go with the next step, everything needs to be done. I understand that. I also understand that Mr. Jackson apparently might not have been getting some good advice. He was really unclear about several things. So in that regard, he needs to speak with his engineer. And I know there was discussion about, where they were. I believe Alex at some point had spoken with him as well. So, it just is really, really just not clear to him what he was supposed to do. Right? It was not clear to him. It was not made clear to him what he was supposed to do. So I think that this extension of time, it doesn't have to take the full 90 days. He can come back before the end of that time. So I think this will give him some time to get an understanding of what's happening, what he needs to do, and and kind of go from there. So I thank Ed, thanks for your being passionate about it and making it clear as to what's going on. I appreciate you diving into that with me. But I think everybody's on the same page and we understand how we have to proceed.
All right, so motion and a second to grant the extension. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Any opposed?
No.
All right. Motion carry 4-1. Item number 8 on the agenda. Have a member of the board consider a resolution authorizing escrow funds to be released to pipeline excavation for the 954 Kingsman Road project in the amount of $883.00.
So moved.
Second it.
So motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
That's resolution 2021-11.
Item number 9 on the agenda. Have a member of the board consider a resolution authorizing escrow funds to be released to Sunoco Pipeline LP for the Twin Oaks Pump Station project in the amount of $2,750.00.
So moved.
Second it.
So motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any, the ayes have it. Motion is carried.
Resolution 2021-13.
Have a member, there's a correction on the amount on item number 10, and I will read it. Consider a resolution authorizing final escrow release for Mount Pleasant Baptist Church in the amount of $25,029.40.
So moved.
Second. And George, I think you misnumbered them. If the first one was 11, the second one was 12, this is 13.
My apologies, you are correct.
Correct.
Okay, right? Okay.
That's correct.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion is carried. Next item up on the agenda, have a member of the board consider a motion authorizing the township solicitor to prepare an ordinance amending the regulation associated with the registration of vacant properties in Upper Chichester Township.
So moved.
So moved. Second?
The motion and a second. It's a motion by Commissioner Whitaker, seconded by Commissioner Neary. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and motion is carried. Thank you. The next several items on your agenda will be read by our Vice Chairman, Commissioner Joe Bacco.
Thank you. Consider a motion authorizing the township engineer to prepare the bid specifications for the 2021 Upper Chichester Township Road Program.
Second?
The motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
These next two kind of coincide, and I'll speak on these in my report when I do my report. Consider a motion accepting the resignation of Joseph Okolowski from his position as Public Works Superintendent with Upper Chichester Township.
Second?
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
Consider a motion approving the hiring of Joseph Okolowski as a part-time property maintenance inspector in the License and Inspections Department.
Second?
It's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
Consider a motion allowing the Republican Committee of Upper Chichester to hang banners associated with the Hometown Heroes banner program from township-owned light poles.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Is there any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to correct. I believe that what was said last week is that other organizations might want to be considered, including the Democratic Committee. I don't believe I said they would be interested. I have discussed it with them. They are interested in participating, as I'm sure things like the American Legion might be interested in participating. And this isn't a political statement. It's just I believe that we should have a policy for any organization that wants to do it, not necessarily a Republican or Democratic or Green Party or Libertarian Party type of entity.
So the only thing I would add that to Commissioner Neary is anybody in the township is welcome to participate. I mean, whether you're Democrat, Republican, independent, the Republican Party of Upper Chichester Township brought this to us. They were very transparent with it. If you would like to buy a banner, they will be the individuals to contact. We have in the past reached out to the Rotary Club and other various clubs in the past to see if they would like to take this on. It was, my understanding, a challenge for them to do, and they decided not to do it. As it was mentioned earlier tonight, the Democratic Party had a fundraiser. They had a toy drive back in December. They utilized their township as a drop-off point. They have a senator come down here to drop off toys also as a donation. I applaud them for that. I think that was a great thing to do. And I just think this is a great thing for our township to have this hometown banner program running. And I have no problem with allowing our local Republican committee to give them permission to use the light poles. So I will be voting yes.
So I have a comment. The comments last week were more of a partnership with other organizations, not a requirement or it was a partnership, right? Open it up. So we've acknowledged that it is open to everyone. So that's good. Mm-hmm. Regarding the other organizations, we have nothing to do with what the Rotary does with the school district. That is the school district. In terms of giving out food and clothing, any organization, it was a drop-off location. That was not something that was on the agenda for the board to say yay or nay. Two, those were things that were done by Community Action Agency. I know people that participated in that. So those weren't things that were brought to the board for our permission, just so we're clear about those. But yes, I do agree that this is, it's a great thing. I think that, like I stated last week, Brookhaven looks great doing it. Hopefully we'll get permission to do that. My concern is, again, where are they going to be located?
Well,
Okay, and I know that's to come. We can't determine that right now, but that would be my question.
This is asking, there may be issues with putting them on Pico's poles.
Right,
So
I understand
what
that.
they're asking is permission to put them on township-owned poles. That's all.
I understand that. Where are the township poles? I asked that last week.
Some are
Where?
on Fury Road, some are near shopping centers.
Woodstream Road.
Woodstream Road has some. I know the development I live in, the township owns them, but I don't think they want to put them in developments. I think
Right.
they want high access places.
Right,
Like by the shop centers, places like that.
okay.
I don't want to see none of this turn political. Like I said, I mean, other parties, other entities are doing other things, and I hope they all are successful. I mean, other people had the chance to take the ball in this, and they didn't, and that's why Mr. Barthoff asked me to approach the township, but they wanted to do it. I mean,
Joe, I mean, it's not an issue. Again, it came up. George sent us the email that we looked at this a couple years ago. The township didn't get involved, but the organization could not financially do it. I think they were trying to do it on their own. But when you say, hey, it's open to everyone and everyone can purchase a flag for a family member or however you want to do it, then it makes it more accessible to people to be able to do it when they are, not just paying for everything on their own. So I understand.
So the question would be, okay, if we open it, what I'm saying is, I know where Joe's going, I know where Dave's going, and God knows I don't want to make it political because everybody knows me. The right thing is to do it. And whether it was either party that said they wanted to do it, I just want to make sure that whoever participates at least goes to the main party or organization so people aren't stepping over everybody else's toes. The resolution here tonight is just to get permission to put it on the poles. The hiccups is Pico poles. We would love to have it along Chai Avenue for everybody. Some of your developments might be a good spot because that's where maybe some of the veterans live, and we have poles in that development. But I think it's to open up to everybody. This is just giving them permission to put it on our poles. I hope it could be broadened a lot further than just our poles. And I think with all the organizations, as long as the one committee is
Overseeing it
to be able to say, hey, we don't have these doing this. It's expensive. It's $120, $140 some dollars just for one flag. Nobody's making money. We're doing this for the veterans, and I'm 100% for that. I just want everybody to be able to, if you want to go on board and help out, help out. But you have to.
Nobody's name's going to go on it.
Right.
Nobody, no organization.
Yeah,
no matter what.
It's just the
veteran,
the veteran, correct. It'll be the veteran's name going on there, honoring them. So there's a motion and a second.
Can I have one more comment? I am going to vote against it because of the inclusion of the specific name, but I will vote offer to buy the first flag in honor of my father who served from 1941 to 1945 in World War II.
So there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Whitaker. I thought you were done speaking.
I was, and I was going to, follow up to what Joe said. If we want a unanimous vote on it, could we consider changing the motion that we allow the flags to be put on township-owned poles and take out the committee?
they're the ones asking permission. They're the ones running the
I
program.
understand that.
They're the ones that are gonna be paying for these flags to be installed also. So,
I thought that people were going to buy them and pay for it. So basically, they're really not paying for it. They're administering it.
well, it's gonna cost, there's gonna be costs associated to install them, and they're picking that cost up.
That's not
Whatever
that was not brought up.
Okay, so the township employees from the highway department are not going to be installing them on township poles. They're going to be paying a outside party to hang the flags.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to find somebody to do it for free. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to get that donated. That's one of the positions I'm gonna take on this.
So motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Yes. Well, no.
Okay.
Opposed.
Motion carries 3-2. Thank you. Commissioner Whitaker, the next 3 items will be read by you. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Consider a motion amending the township fee schedule, adjusting various fees for the rental of the Fury Road Field House.
Second.
So motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
That's Resolution 2021-14.
Consider a motion making application to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Keystone Program in the amount of $25,000 for the Market Street Corridor Plan Project.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
That is Resolution 2021-15.
Consider a motion authorizing the township manager to advertise a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners for Wednesday, March 24th, 2021 at 7 p.m. with the library board to discuss the terms of the memorandum of understanding associated with the resolution previously passed in reference to the potential lease of Kingsman Park property as a location for a library.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Whitaker. I believe it was second by Commissioner Rakowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rakowski, you have item number 19 on my list.
All right. Consider a resolution recognizing the Boothwyn, Ogden, Reliance Fire Companies in their efforts to create a more sustainable and effective emergency services partnership.
So there's a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Motion is carried. Commissioner Neary, you have the last item up for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. I'd like to move the payment of the list of bills in the amount of $571,033.52.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion is carried. This time we'll move on to our commissioners and professionals report. We'll start off with Mr. Mike Pierce.
I'm gonna move to the other microphone. We just went back up, I think. Nicole, I think we just went back up. You want to say?
So let me look.
I'm looking at you, so.
Oh, okay. We can't see you all, but I can see me
Right.
and Joe.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
We-
Uh-huh.
Okay,
We can hear
that's
you.
good. That's good.
Yeah, as long as we can hear, we're good.
All right. So we're going to move on with our commissioners and professionals report, and we'll start off with our township solicitor, Mr. Michael Pierce.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, so we don't have any action items tonight other than what has already been taken care of. My written report is is in the file, same as last week. There is nothing, no additional progress made at this point, but everything is in order and all the legal aspects are taken care of.
there any questions for our solicitor? If not, we'll move on to our township engineer, Mrs. Lisa Catania.
Thank you, Mr. President. You do have a copy of my report. Just an update from our meeting last week. The color samples have been submitted for the Wawa. We did get the colors and forward those to the Wawa representatives so they can move forward with the Gibbons Park project. I will tell you that in speaking to Aero Signs today, they are planning on giving us a sample of the colors again to verify, but as well the change in the letters for the wall so that everyone is okay with what's going to be placed on the wall. Kate's Glen is completed. Once I have all of the paperwork, we will close out that project. The last bit of work at the basin was completed last week. We worked on Mount Pleasant Church. That is complete. If you noticed, AutoZone has gotten the fence up along Chichester Avenue. We were concerned with some safety there. So that is moving forward. I do not believe that all of the trash piles that we asked to be removed have been removed at this point. Otherwise, I can advise that we have general progress on the remainder of the projects that we're working on. We have started doing the measurements for the road program, and we will get that out for bid. So we'll have the numbers for the next meeting. That's all I have unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions for township engineer?
Just
I
one.
do.
Commissioner,
Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, so the road program, how's the echo? Alleyways. Is there a list of alleyways that we're looking at?
I did not prepare the list, so I have to get to Putt to determine what alleyways he's referring to.
Got it. Okay.
All right, so once I have those, I'll forward those to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Rakowski.
Lisa, what's the process for, or not the process, the progress of Wawa? It's been like pretty quiet over there. Nobody, I haven't seen any work, any underground or anything. I mean, Scott did what they did, but they haven't been there for 3 weeks.
Yeah, the last work that they completed was the PennDOT work, so they've been working within the right-of-way. They haven't done much to the site. I will tell you that the building permit applications have come in for the Wawa, so my guess is they're getting extremely close to having Wawa take the next portion of the project.
Okay, just one.
All right, if there's no other comments for our township engineer, we'll move on to our township manager, Mr. George Needles.
All of the reports are on file. The only item that I have is just, I don't believe it's a voting item, the board, but so Mike could correct me if I'm wrong, but PennDOT has asked us if we would be willing to alleviate, if we are interested or willing to alleviate the automated alerting devices for the deaf and hearing impaired on the traffic signals for 322. So that is something that's that is we have typically required for our traffic signals on high traffic pedestrian volume. It would be a state paid for improvement, and it would just be essentially another item to repair minimally for our intersections. And I think it would be a good thing for the community. I don't see that there's any reason that we would tell them to take it off unless the board is adamantly against them. And in that case, I would think that there should probably be a vote.
Now, where do these get installed at?
They would be at any of the traffic crossings associated with the 322 improvements.
Not on 322.
322, yeah.
On 322.
On 322.
Anywhere there's a traffic light.
Anywhere there's a traffic light and a crosswalk.
As well, it would be in
We can't hear Lisa.
the meeting house
You gotta talk into the mic. Second. Now, do you have the little mic?
I'm sorry, will also be any of the intersections that are being improved that would have signals, so.
Chichester Avenue,
it
Market
could-
Street.
Yeah, could very well be Chichester, it could be Larkin, so there's other, there are other signals that this would be affecting as well. I don't know what they're planning on 452, but that may be one as well.
We're not voting on that tonight, are we?
No, I would just
It's
say
just
if you're adamantly against it, there should be a vote, but I would
Okay.
think that it would be a positive improvement for the community.
No, I think the board's
Yeah.
fine. Anything else?
That's all I have. Thank you.
That's it. Any questions for our township manager? All right, if not, we'll move on to our commissioner's report, and we'll start off with our vice chairman, Commissioner Joe Bacco.
Just a couple quick things. Everybody comment, so everyone's aware of the road program starting. There's a shredding event this Saturday, March 20th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's here at the Fury Road Complex. What to shred, any office paper, any color, file folders, any color. We need to remove staples, paper clips, rubber band, or small binder dips. What not to shred, cardboard, common trash, hazardous materials, plastics or metals, CDs and DVDs. And that'll also be October 2nd again. Earlier, you heard me comment that I would speak about a couple of the resolutions involving Mr. Okolowski. Oki's not leaving us. He's just changing positions. He's going to lessen his load, have more time with family, and, still be with us. The move actually helps us a little, so I want to thank him for working with us. And he's been here 42 years. I mean, we got it easy, man. We can't let him go quick. I enjoy having him. I hope this works out well for everybody. The sewer authority, all reports are on file, and that's all I have.
Any questions for Commissioner Bacco? I just want to echo. Can I go ahead? Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to echo Commissioner Bacco's sentiments on Joe Okolowski. He served us for 42 years. I'm happy to have him in our property maintenance department. I'm looking forward to it. We sat down and spoke briefly about the position. So, Joe, if you're listening, I'm looking forward to you starting your second venture with the township. That's it, Commissioner Whitaker.
Yep. Thank you. Agreed. We love Okie. The only question I had for Joe was, do we have an update on Delcora with the sewer authority?
Update on which aspect?
Has it been completed, the process?
Not yet. Not that I know of anyways. I mean, I know the PUC hearing's the 26th of March.
Okay.
That's the next step going on that would be of any significance as far as I know.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of when the meeting of the hearing was, so March 26th. Okay, thank you.
All right. If there are other questions for Commissioner Bacco, we'll move on to Commissioner Nicole Whitaker.
All reports are on file. I just would like to, is everyone available for the library meeting not next week, but the following week?
I believe so.
George, is that
Yes.
in person or virtual? Or is it going to be both?
So I think that with the amount of people that would be present in the room with the library and the board, the participants could be in person, but I don't think we would have additional space for public. So we would broadcast and take public comment in the same manner we have been.
When can we go
Oh,
back?
it's going to be a public meeting?
Well, we're trying, the one question that Commissioner Bacco just asked is when are we going to go back to normal? So I've been talking to George about this. I'm hoping that we can start having our residents come back in again. We have, our chairs socially spaced out at the correct distance. We'll still be following the CDC guidelines. So I'm looking forward, hopefully next month, to have people come back, have a residents be able to be present inside the meeting room with us. So I'm pushing hard for that. If we want to try to get the library in here prior to that time, I personally don't have a problem with that. I just like to get back to some sense of normalcy.
So the library meeting is going to be open to the public.
Well, there'll be a limited amount of space
Well, no, I'm not saying people in there.
Based on our square footage in the commissioner's room, we can only allow a certain amount of people in.
What day is the
No,
meeting?
my question is it open? It's not a meeting just with the board and the library board and the board of commissioners?
Correct. That is a public meeting.
Okay. So whether they're in person or virtual, it's a public meeting.
Correct.
Got it.
Can we move it to I don't know what's going on out in the gym that night, but we'd be able to have more room, more space.
If we move it to the gym, we could do that, but then we lose our technology to have a live stream. Because we tried in the past to have live streams in the gymnasium, and the acoustics just does not work out in that room. I'm okay with having it in there. I'm just saying we won't be able to stream it live. Correct, Mr. Needles?
Correct.
So.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Commissioner Neary? Commissioner Whitaker? I still love you guys. Anyway, we'll move on to Commissioner Ed Rakowski.
Thank you. All reports are on file. The resolution was read earlier tonight. I wasn't sure if you guys have this. George, did I put this in the folder for the task force, the small one? But the task force, I'll make sure I have copies tonight and give everybody if it wasn't put in the folder. Boothwood Town Center Task Force, they will be meeting virtually, maybe not, hopefully we're live, April 22nd. That's our next committee meeting for the Boothwood Town Center to review the existing conditions in the summary report. Other than that, emergency management is on there. The medic unit files are all on file. Other than that, it's nice and quiet. Just keep it that way.
Any questions for Commissioner Rakowski?
I have one more. Lisa, I meant for the road program. Last year, some of the residents in Helms Manor, they're back in the rear by Boudwin Avenue, I think it is, in the back. Some of them are saying that one's a little flatter than the other two. Can we just see if there's that much of a difference on, I guess, how it turned out? Yeah, the speed table. They're saying that one, the people in the back there act like it's not even there, where the other two, they actually slow down to. The one in the front and then one to the right going down. The one in the rear, where Euclid and Boudwin and all them are, they said it seems to be a little lighter than the other one. We could just take a look. If we have to try to repair it or, I don't know. Take a look. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to Commissioner Joe Neary.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening again, everybody. The financial reports are available in the township building, as well as the tax collector's report. The police report is available as well. And I want to thank the police department. They had 2 significant drug arrests this week, or that they participated in. And they're doing an excellent job as always. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Neary? Consider a motion approving the list of bills.
We did that.
We did that.
You got
resolution.
You know, the one that got cut off was the fire company one.
The one that got cut, I thought Joe read it. Well, just for the record, Mr. Neary, could you just read it again? Just to be certain.
Sure, hold on. Do I get paid double for this?
Unfortunately, no.
Absolutely.
The list of the amount for the list of bills for this month is $571,033.52. So moved.
Second.
It's a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and motion is carried. So I think we left off, is there any questions for Commissioner Neary under his report? All right, if not, we'll wrap up with my report. I reported on everything last week. I really don't have anything new to report. If anybody has any questions for me, I'll be happy to take them at this moment. All right, if there's no questions for me, I'd just like to thank the public for calling in tonight, listening tonight. I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners for working through everything. Hopefully the pandemic will end soon. I believe our governor has lifted the travel ban, so that is some positive news. And I'd like to wish everybody a safe week. Have a motion to adjourn.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I have a comment. Thank you. I just want to tell the public that the Family Wellness Center in the Willowbrook Shopping Center is open, and they have been added to the list of COVID vaccine as a COVID vaccination site. They have been able to get people in rather quickly. So the list of all available sites throughout the county is constantly updated at least once or twice a week. So please go on the county's website to see the list and see the places that are giving the vaccinations here locally in Booth Wynn. So you can get signed up to get your vaccine. The sooner everyone gets vaccinated, we can, meet in person and get back to some normalcy, like you said. So that's all I have. Thank you.
And actually, Booth Wynn Pharmacy is also actively getting people. I know I had been on their website and signed up for March 31st. They called me last week immediately after I had just gotten my shot at Lincoln Hospital, and they have vaccines available as well.
George, can we, coincide with the county, can we get what's in Upper Chi on our webpage and just a reminder?
Yeah, we've been pushing out the information as they send it to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe our website, I believe, George, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe our website has that information on it, correct?
Yeah, we've been pushing out the updates and everything through social media, and there's information on where to get all those resources through our website.
Thank you. If there's no other new business and no other comments, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second it.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight.
Good night.
See you next.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.